What's up, everybody? We're here to go over UFC Vegas 97. Gilbert Burns taking on Sean Brady. Real quick, as far as the results of the betting, the last card, kind of a mediocre card as far as the picks and the bets. I mean, my two big plays on the card hit. Originally, I had a two-fight parlay, unit and a half play on Morales and Danny Silva, and Danny Silva dropped off, so it ended up being like a $1,500 play on Michael Morales, like minus 450 or somewhere in that range. So didn't pay very much there. And then I had a half unit play on Baralo, that one hit. And then I had a small play on Valentine, and that one didn't hit. And I had a $50 bet on Lawn Top to win as underdog. And obviously that one didn't hit. But I mean, I picked Lawn Top because I thought he'd be smart enough to go out there and wrestle Borishev. You know, that's his weakness. He's been taken down in almost all of his fights. And Lawn Top, I guess, is just, you know, not very smart. So he did have a good third round. He was kind of coming on late in that fight. But either way, I was really disappointed, you know, with the game plan and the fight IQ coming from him. And yeah, as far as like the rest of that card went, I mean, I kind of a little bit let down because I feel like, you know, Robert Valentine is more of a, I mean, I don't want to say more deserving of being in the UFC. I mean, I know he didn't win the contract, but I'm like, he's more fan friendly. People want to see him more than a guy that just goes out and kind of lays on top of people, you know. Valentine's a very good fighter, man. He's got out wrestled, but I think that, you know, the fans and everything in the UFC would appreciate him a lot more than you know, just another wrestler. You know, we have a ton of those. But either way, man, I mean, it was a good performance on what was his name, Loader or something like that, his side of the card. But either way, man, made a little bit of money, not enough to brag about. You know, probably pretty close to breaking even on that card. You know, when it was all said and done, I made a little bit of money live betting. Had some parlays that didn't hit. You know, so it was kind of mediocre, but. Hopefully we'll get back to having better cards, you know, on this one. Real quick, man, please like and subscribe, guys. It'll help me out a lot. If you're new to the channel, what I do is I go through and give out my picks for each of the fights, and at the end of the video, I give out my bets. I always give out my bets for free. I don't charge people money for anything, and you know, I feel like that's kind of a rare thing in this community, man. Everybody's trying to make money, you know, doing this. I mean, there really isn't any money in doing these videos. You know, betting community is a small community. There's not very many channels that get a whole ton of views, and the ones that do, you know, kind of do a lot of other shit than focus on, you know, betting and fight picks. You know, they're out there talking shit to the fighters and whatnot to get attention. You know, I'm also available on Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. My social medias, if you're not interested in watching my videos, you just want to see my picks and my bets, are highkick_fight picks. That's Instagram and TikTok, and there's a Facebook group, High Kick Fight Picks on Facebook. Check it out, and feel free to post your bets, anything MMA related in there. And guys, I'm going to post my link in the comments for bovada.lv. If you want to help out the channel or you just want to check out a really good sports book, click the link, man, sign up, make a deposit. It would put a little bit of money in my pocket and help me out a lot and give me a little bit more motivation to do this stuff, you know. Yeah, it's a good sports book, man. Early cash outs on your parlays, easy pays, easy payouts. Right now they have up the noche card right now. I'll talk about that later. They're getting back for the past few weeks. They were taking a little bit longer than they normally did to get the cards up for some reason. Usually, like on the fight day of the fights, they'll have the card that's happening that day, the card the next week, and usually some of the fights, if not all the fights of the card coming up after that one. So that's a good time on like fight day to put together your big parlays from all three cards and stuff like that, man. And they've got the point spreads and everything, and you know, lots of good prop bets and everything. And they're a good book, man. It's the main book I've always used. If you look at my Instagram, you know, there's a lot of screenshotted, you know, cash out tickets on there. Most of them are all from Bovada. And yeah, man, so I mean, if you're interested in helping out the channel, want to help me out, support me a little bit, man, check that out, and I'd appreciate you guys, man. So thank you all for being here as always, man. I really do appreciate y'all for caring what I have to say. And let's get into this card, man. We lost a couple of good fights, man. I was looking forward to this Marcus McGee, Amin Zahabi. Yeah, I've been winning some money on Zahabi, man. Like his past, I want to say I didn't have anything on him. I think I might have had him in a parlay, as an underdog against Bosserat. But his fights before that, his past few fights before that, I had money on him, and I think they were plus money plays too as an underdog. And yeah, I mean, it's really been paying out, and he's really been showing just how good he really is. And yeah, Calvin Kattar taking on Kyle Nelson. I'm just not big on Kyle Nelson, but I would love to have seen Calvin Kattar fight somebody that's gonna, not try to take him down the whole time. But so yeah, man, this first fight, I've already given out my pick for this fight. This fight was supposed to happen last weekend. So I mean, I'm just gonna kind of lightly go over it. Yeah, so the pick was I was going with Ramaska here, and part of the reason I'm doing that is because he won his fights on the show. He was supposed to go to the finals, and he just kind of didn't because of an injury. Fletcher lost his fight, and I feel like Ramaska succeeded, and he was he went further in competition, so therefore he's probably gonna do better here, but. He's a good fighter, man. He's got really good kickboxing, 9-2. He's got 5 wins by knockout, 4 wins by submission. He's never been submitted. Has been knocked out 1 time. He's never won a fight by decision. He's only gone to a decision 1 time in his career. And I mean, as far as his win on The Ultimate Fighter was against a pretty tough guy, man. If you look into that guy, a lot of he's fought some guys with good experience. A guy who's 25-7, 14-4. And he's fought some, tough Russian guys and stuff like that over there in that area. So, I mean, and his kickboxing looked really good. I was really impressed. He fights very aggressively. He goes out there and he looks for the finish. He's going to be much taller here. We don't have the reaches on him. I guarantee he's going to have a reach advantage. Yeah, he was much bigger, and this is going to be at featherweight. And, I mean, Nathan Fletcher usually fights at bantamweight. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, he's going to be a lot bigger guy here. And I do think he has the better striking. I think Fletcher's going to be looking to take him down, and look for a submission most likely, because I don't know if he's going to be able to handle Ramaska on the feet. And it's possible. Nathan Fletcher has fought in Cage Warriors, man. He's got a lot of good experience. That's a good organization to be coming out of. But he did lose his fight on the show. And who did he lose to? Was it Loader? Oh, it was Kean Olive, the guy who got knocked out the other day. So, yeah, not a good look. Losing that guy who turns around and gets knocked out in his next fight. Yeah, man, like I said, the pick is Ramaska. I'm going to take him to win by knockout. Take him to win by knockout, round 2. But it's hard to pick, feel very strongly about guys like this, But I do think that Ramaska is a more natural featherweight. And the bigger guy, better striking, bigger power. So that's why I'm going with him. I'm just going over that lightly because like I said, I already gave my pick out for that fight last week. Next up, we got Andrade Petroski taking on Dylan Budka. Normally, I don't feel very strongly about Petroski, but I do feel like this is a good matchup for him, here. And his last fight was obviously an easy matchup for him. A lot of people were going against him in his last fight, but I mean, if you look at, what he's done in the UFC versus what his last opponent did in the UFC, it was pretty blatantly obvious, like he was going to be able to do enough to win that fight, He's 33 years old. He's 6 foot tall, 73-inch reach. He's 11-3, and I guess this fight got moved around. There it is. 11-3 and 6-2 in the UFC. He's a -270 favorite. 4 wins by knockout, 4 wins by submission. All his losses have been by knockout, which isn't a good look. He is a very good wrestler / grappler. Good power, but terrible striking. Tends to just load up and throw big looping shots. If you can stuff his takedowns, you could possibly knock him out. This is a winnable fight for him here. He's fighting a guy with possibly worse cardio than he has, which you don't see very often. He has the better wins, the better experience. He should win this fight. I wouldn't be surprised if he got caught with something and knocked out either, but I think he has the advantages in this fight, and I think he's the better wrestler, has the better submissions, even the better cardio, based on what we've seen from Budka, so far. Um, he shows 51% striking accuracy with 51% striking defense, 56% takedown accuracy with 80% takedown defense, averages 4 takedowns per fight, 2 submissions per fight, and he lands on average 3 strikes per minute while absorbing 2.70. He's taking on Dylan Budka. He is 24 years old. He's 6 foot tall, 75-inch reach, 7-3 and 0-1 in the UFC. He's a plus 220 underdog. And yeah, I was really surprised they gave this guy the contract after his fight on the Contender Series. It wasn't a very entertaining fight, but he did what he had to do. It wasn't like it was really his fault because his opponent was just constantly shooting on him and trying to take him down. So all he could really do was kind of defend the takedowns and land elbows and stuff, on the cage. So, not really his fault there, but I was just like, based on what we've seen so far, like on the Contender Series, and like Dana White telling Torres Finney, he's not going to give him a contract. You wonder why they would have given this guy a contract after that fight. He couldn't take down the kickboxer, his last fight. I thought he would be able to do that. He gassed out after the first round. He might have the better striking out of these two. 1 win by knockout, 2 wins by submission, but not a lot of finish wins all around. And I'm just not confident his cardio is going to hold up outside of him getting an early knockout. I think Petroski's probably going to win this fight. I'm going to take Petroski to win this fight by submission round 2. It could be a scary first round though, guys. I mean, like I said, Budka does have a wrestling background. But I do think Petroski is a lot better, all around, especially with the wrestling and the grappling than him. So we'll see if Budka can stuff the takedowns early, but I think Petroski will be able to get him down. Next up, we got Gabriel Santos taking on Yiza. And Gabriel Santos is 27 years old. He's 5'9" with a 70-inch reach. He is 10-2 and 0-2 in the UFC. He's a minus 230 favorite. And this is a tricky one, man. Just being in that he's lost his last 2 fights, in the UFC so far. He arguably won the fight with Rome Murphy. It was very close. It was his debut on short notice. He put up a good fight against Murphy and made a good account of himself, which a lot of people really, they put him up there because of that performance. And he put up a good fight against Onama until he got knocked out, he got clipped. But he definitely hasn't had any easy fights in the UFC yet, so... He has 3 wins by knockout, 4 wins by submission. Never been submitted, but was knocked out in his last fight. It was his only knockout loss. Has a win over Els Brenner before the UFC, which is pretty good. He has great striking, good Muay Thai. And I mean, if he can keep up with an undefeated guy like Murphy, I'd say his odds are pretty good here in this fight. He's well-rounded, good takedowns, dangerous off of his back. BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, brown belt. Where was I at? I stuttered on the BJJ. Anyway, he'll switch stances back and forth at times, and he's good single legs, good front kicks to the body. He's good enough on the ground and in the scrambles. I just don't think that Yiza is going to be able to submit this guy if he does get him down. And Santos is very dangerous off of his back, so in all likelihood he could catch Yiza in a submission. As long as he does, as long as he does well with the pressure that Yiza likes to fight with, he likes to fight in the clinch a lot. Hold guys up against the cage, constantly look for takedowns. I do think Santos has a lot of advantages in that he has the cleaner technique on most of what he does. This is definitely a big step down in competition compared to who Santos has usually been fighting, his last 2 fights anyway. And he took a year off after the knockout, man. I think he's probably going to look better than ever here. Definitely has the better striking. But we'll see, man. Yiza's not an easy fight. He's definitely tough, and he brings a lot to the table. Yiza is 27 years old. He is 5'7" with a 71-inch reach. He is 25-4 and 0-1 in the UFC. He's a plus 175 underdog. 5 wins by knockout, 14 wins by submission. Lost his fight for the contract to Jiang Li. He's fought 3 times since then. He's won 3 since then, but not over really good competition at all. 2 of the guys that he beat had no ground game whatsoever, especially his last win. He used a lot of pressure, like I said, lots of clinch work, always looking for takedowns, not the best striking. Good cardio, though, man. He definitely has a style that can wear on guys and slow them down. I think if he wins, Santos would have to gas out, and get finished in the third round. But I mean, I haven't seen any really evidence of Santos getting super gassed out, when he has a full camp. So, um, yeah, I think Yizad, he tends to spend too much time focusing on the wrestling and takedowns and not doing enough damage. If you're stuffing his takedowns and he's just constantly going for him and you're elbowing him in the side of the head, you're winning the fight. I'm going to be taking Santos to win this fight. I think he's going to lock in some sort of choke on one of these takedowns, um, or maybe attack the guillotine on a takedown attempt and then end up getting an arm triangle choke from top position. Um, and like I said, I'll take that. I'm taking one by submission round two, and I think most people are agreeing. Well, there's some people going with Yizal here, and like I said, it's kind of you might feel stupid if you go with Santos and he loses. Because he has lost his first two fights in the UFC, but I mean, it's tough competition he's fighting. Next up, we got Andre Lima taking on Felipe dos Santos. I find this fight on my notes. They moved everything around on me. Yeah, so there's no fights this weekend. A lot of people have been like, because I posted the picture of me down at Galveston Beach. I was down there working, and we took a little bit and went and walked around on the beach or whatever. I posted a picture. It's like contemplating my bets for the upcoming card or whatever, and people are like, "You're doing a lot of contemplating." Maybe they don't realize that there aren't any fights this weekend. The fights aren't until next weekend. It's a week off, but yeah, I'm out of it, guys. I've been working nights and shit like that. It drains you, so I've been doing my best to keep up, even with the week off. Andre Lima is 25 years old. He's 5'7" with a 67.5-inch reach. He is 9-0 and 2-0 in the UFC. And I'll check the line again before we get off the video. I want to talk about some things on the. We'll pull up Bovada and look at the lines, but I got him at a -110. It's a pick'em fight. If he ends up being an underdog, I will probably try to cash my thing back out and see if I can get plus money on him, or I'll just add more on him. If I can get plus money on him, I might add another half unit or something. I find it crazy that Lima is not a big favorite here because, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people's opinions, Felipe dos Santos lost his last fight, and I'll stand behind that for sure, all the way. Go back and watch it. Lima is very good, very well rounded, very high level kickboxer with a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's a big guy for the weight class, which is why he has had trouble making weight, which is the only thing that really worries me here in this fight for him. 5 wins by knockout, no wins by submission, but he is dangerous on the ground, guys. And very technically sound. I can't say enough good things about his striking. Great counter striking, great calf kicks, uses good feints to set up his strikes. Good head movement and footwork. Good at setting traps. Fights well from both stances. Great at timing the knee when guys are coming in close. His cardio's look good in his last fight as well. I like the way he hides that left high kick behind the left hand, kind of like Edwards did against Usman. Very technical striker, man. And he's going to go out and he's going to destroy. He's going to destroy the legs, compromise the movement, and then work his way up the body and look for the knockout. He's taking on Felipe dos Santos. He is 23 years old, 5'7" with a 70-inch reach, 8-1 and 1-1 in the UFC. And like I said, it's a -110 pick on both ways, or it was. 2 wins by knockout, 3 wins by submission. Never been finished, but I honestly think people are giving him a little too much credit for his debut against Manel Kopp. If you go back and watch that fight, it's not like he was close to winning the fight or anything. He landed a few good shots. He made a good account of himself against the guy who's up there in the rankings, but he was definitely outclassed all the way around. He just showed to be pretty tough, and I think people are reading a little bit more into that than maybe they should. He will have a 2.5-inch reach advantage. We've seen him taken down in his fights, both his fights so far in the UFC. Alter Morano isn't really known as a good wrestler, and he was taking him down constantly. And he wasn't really dealing with the trips well. It was like he didn't know how to deal with the trips. Even after he'd been tripped so many times, he just kept, going back to the same thing, and it was working. He wasn't immediately jumping on the hands, to break the grip. So he's getting control with the body lock and set up with the trips. And no way he should have won that fight, man. I mean, he does have good Muay Thai, good striking, but I don't think it's better than Lima's. I think Felipe's best bet here would try to get this fight to the ground and look for a submission, and I guess it's possible, but I think Lima's going to be the much bigger, stronger guy here. So I'm taking Lima to win this fight. I like the price. I'm going to take it to win by knockout. Take win by knockout, late knockout, round 3. Next up, we got Isaac Dulgarian taking on Brendan Moreau. And Isaac Dulgarian is 28 years old. He's 5'7" with a 71-inch reach. He is 6-1 and 1-1 in the UFC. He's a minus 2,200 favorite. Looking at the line, I would say if you're going to bet on this fight, just put something on the underdog for a crazy upset or something, because that's the only way it's going to pay well. We saw that Isaac gasses out after wrestling for a round and a half, and I mean, I do think he probably wins this fight. He's a great wrestler, great ground and pound, but what if he gasses out again? You know, what if Marotte survives the onslaught and then comes on late? 4 wins by knockout, 2 wins by submission. Outside of cardio, I think he's probably better everywhere here, but I'm not laying 2,200 on anybody. I didn't even like having the minus 450 on Morales, last week, because it didn't pay very much. I guess look for the props on this guy, whatever you got to do. I think the lines will probably be crazy on those two, because, I guess the best line you would probably get would be him to win by decision, because all his wins have been by finish, I don't know. I have to look into it later, but he's taking on Brendan Marotte. 28 years old, 5'9", with a 70-inch reach. He's taller, but Dulgarian has a 1-inch reach advantage. 8-2 and 0-1 in the UFC, plus 1,000 underdog. And yeah, he got out wrestled and knocked out quickly in his debut against Terrence McKinney, but that was up a weight class. It's been 9 months. We really don't know what we're going to get here. And, with him, we haven't seen him at this weight class in the UFC yet. And I actually kind of hope he wins. I kind of hope he can weather the early storm and get a third-round finish or something, but, it's probably not likely based on what we've seen so far. But, like I said, it's been a while. He's a young guy making improvements. You never know what you're going to get. And the pick is going to be Dulgarian to win. Not going to be betting on it with those crazy prices, but I might throw like $20 on Marotte just in case he gets upset win or something, so I can show the ticket off. But yeah, I think Dulgarian's probably going to out wrestle him and win the fight. Next up, we got Jacqueline Amorum taking on Vanessa Demopoulos. And Jacqueline is 29 years old. She's 5'3" with a 68-inch reach. She's 8-1 and 2-1 in the UFC, minus 330 favorite. 2 wins by knockout and 6 wins by submission. 100% finish rate. And outside of gassing out in her debut, she looked great. Her second fight was the easy one as far as like the competition she was facing. She was way bigger, way better wrestler, grappler. She did beat Corey McKenna last time out quickly. That was a good win. She's got very high-level jiu-jitsu, great takedowns and whatnot. She's going to have an 8.5-inch reach advantage here and be an inch taller. She's not scared to pull guard. She has a big advantage on the ground, off her back and from top position. And as long as the cardio holds up, she should win this fight, most likely. It could be close on the feet, but she has such a reach advantage that, if she can't outstrike Demopoulos with that reach advantage, she would have to be terrible. So, I'm not even confident saying that Demopoulos is going to win on the feet. She shows 52% striking accuracy, 63% striking defense, 23% takedown accuracy. Doesn't show her takedown defense on the stats. I don't know if no one's tried to take her down yet or what. I thought Sam Hughes did, but maybe she pulled guard. She averages 1.48 takedowns per fight, 5.44 submission attempts per fight, and she lands on average 3.33 strikes per minute while absorbing 1.85. She's taking on Vanessa Demopoulos. She is 35 years old, 5'2" with a 59.5-inch reach, 11-5 and 5-2 in the UFC, plus 265 underdog. 1 win by knockout, 4 wins by submission, and I'll give her this. She somehow continues to win fights. She's never been finished, and I had never been that high on her originally, but like I said, she keeps finding ways to win, and it's kind of impressive, She's very flexible. She has a great arm bar, uses a lot of pressure on the feet, fights very aggressively, always comes forward, throwing good combinations. And I would say she has the better striking, like I said, but it's just that short reach that really worries me here for her. If she can get the fight out of the first round and maybe keep it on the feet, maybe she could steal a decision if Amorum gets tired again, or gasses out. But Amorum is really hard to deal with early for sure. So I kind of secretly want Demopoulos to win deep down. But I don't know, man. I'm thinking Amorum's probably going to submit her. But Demopoulos shows 41% striking accuracy with 42% striking defense, 12% takedown accuracy with 30% takedown defense. That's a key number there, guys, for this fight, 30% takedown defense. She lands on average 3.98 strikes per minute while absorbing 5.69. The pick is going to be amor to win by submission, round one. Just keep an eye on the live betting if it gets out of the first round, see what Demopoulos is doing. But yeah, man, it's amor by submission. Next up, we got Owen St. Preux taking on Ryan Spann. And OSP is 41 years old. He's 6'3" with an 80-inch reach. 27-17 and 15-12 in the UFC. Plus 240 underdog. 11 wins by knockout, 9 wins by submission. And I mean, go back and watching his last fight. Originally, I thought he lost it. I guess I could see how the judges would give it to him. And it was a close fight, man. But that's what Kennedy gets for letting the fight be that close, you know. Ovens he's been knocked out 5 times, submitted 3 times. He's a big guy. He's fought at heavyweight. He's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage. And I just feel like it's very noticeable how much he's slowed down this late into his career. I mean, he's over 40, so of course that's normal. But, to me, he just doesn't seem to be as fast as he was, say 3 or 4 years ago. And he usually fights at a slow pace, trying to pick his shots, one at a time. He has dangerous chokes. He's very good with that Bond flu choke. If you can get to OSP if you extend your combinations. I think that's where Kennedy could have done better in his last fight. When he would throw longer combinations at OSP, he would land more. But he was just throwing one at a time mostly, so therefore, he was only landing a little bit. So I'm sure Spann's going to look at that and take advantage of that. OSP would be smart to look for takedowns in this fight and try to get a submission. We have seen Spann submitted a few times. OSP shows 48% striking accuracy with 48% striking defense, 37% takedown accuracy with 67% takedown defense, averages 1 takedown per fight, and lands on average 3.3 strikes per minute while absorbing 3.32. He's taking on Ryan Spann. He is 33 years old, 6'5" with a 79-inch reach. He is 21-10 and 7-5 in the UFC, and he's a minus 280 favorite. And I know he's technically on a 3-fight losing streak, but I think he should have won the Anthony Smith fight. I thought he should have won that decision. He almost finished Smith in that fight. I was surprised that he lost his last fight, but I guess that just goes to show how good Bogdan, Guskov really is. I think Spann has the better striking here and the power and speed advantage on the feet. He has a great guillotine choke. If Ryan Spann can't win this fight, man, I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC let him go. He's a good guy. He's a good fighter, But you know how they are with people losing 4 in a row, let alone to losing if he loses his 4th fight in a row to a guy who's been around so long and is over 40 years old. I wouldn't be surprised if they cut him. He's younger. He should win this fight. Good front kicks, throws nice long straight punches. Good 1-2, great jab. Very fast and explosive early. I think he needs to throw more calf kicks for sure, man. He's never thrown a lot of them in any of his fights, and it would definitely help him out. He has 6 wins by knockout, 12 wins by submission. He shows 41% striking accuracy with 44% striking defense, 35% takedown accuracy with 48% takedown defense. Averages 1.34 takedowns per fight and 1.54 submissions per fight. 1.15 knockdowns per fight, and he lands on average 3.25 strikes per minute while absorbing 3.89. A lot of money's been coming in on OSP, and I guess I understand why. I'm going to be going with Spann to win this fight by knockout. Taking one by knockout round 2. I don't like the price. Won't be getting heavily invested in this fight at all, and I wouldn't be surprised if he won or if he lost. But I'm going to go with Ryan Spann. Next up, we got Rong Zhu taking on Chris Padilla. And Rong Zhu is 24 years old. He's 5'9" with a 72.5-inch reach. He is 25-5 and 1-2 in the UFC. He's a minus 260 favorite. 14 wins by knockout, 7 wins by submission. He's never been knocked out, but has been submitted 4 times. All but one of his losses have been by submission, so there's clearly a weakness there with the submission awareness and defense. He got submitted by Ignacio Bahamondes, who's a kickboxer, so that's not a good look. But since then, he's won 4 in a row. He's made his way back to the UFC, but, those road to UFC cards are kind of rough. I mean, like a lot of the guys on there, that these guys are beating aren't very good fighters. There's a few good fighters who have come off those, but a lot of the guys that are fighting on those cards are kind of questionable. There were some decent flyweights the other day, on the last road to UFC card that I liked. But either way, man, we saw how easily Chris Padilla submitted Long Top in his last fight. And I don't see how nobody's thinking he might be able to do the same thing to Ronzu, who's been submitted so many times. Yeah, I mean, Ronzu is heavily favored on Tapology as well as the betting line. He's a young guy with a ton of experience, that's for sure. He's well-rounded. His only win in the UFC was over Brandon Jenkins, who never won a fight in the UFC. Yeah, but Zurong does have big power, good boxing, decent wrestling. Probably has the more technical striking out of these two, but Chris Padilla doesn't really play around on the feet too much. Most of his knockouts are via ground and pound. So he goes out there, he gets the body lock, he goes and looks for the takedowns. Chris Padilla is 28 years old, 5'9", with a 74-inch reach. He is 14-6 and 1-0 in the UFC. He's a plus 215 underdog. He's kind of an anomaly, man. He kind of came out of nowhere on short notice and beat Long Top easily and quickly. He's won his last 4 fights, all by finish, 2 knockouts, 2 submissions. 7 wins by knockout total and 5 wins by submission. He's never been submitted. Oh, no, he has been submitted twice and knocked out once. Sorry, I read that wrong. He hasn't been finished since 2018. He seems to have really good wrestling, has knockout power, good calf kicks, good body lock takedowns, heavy top pressure, great ground and pound. He's going to have an 1.5-inch reach advantage, nasty elbows. He always uses a very heavily wrestling attack, man, and he does his best work on the ground and in the clinch. And I think if he can get a hold of Zurong, he can win this fight. I could see this fight going either way. I think Rong Zhu has the advantages on the feet, but Chris pretty much gets everyone he fights down. So I'm not super confident in this pick at all, but I like the underdog here. I'm going to take him to win by submission, rear naked choke, round 2. He is a big underdog. Wouldn't be surprised if he lost, but I like his wrestling, man, so I'll go with him. Next up, we got Trevor Peak taking on Yanel Ashmouz. And the sirens going off in the background. Somebody got shot. Trevor Peak is 29 years old. 5'9" with a 70-inch reach. He is 9-2 and 2-2 in the UFC. Minus 115 slight favorite. We'll look in a minute and see if any money's came in on him. This guy's fun, man. He's one of my favorites. Never in a boring fight. He's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage. 8 wins by knockout, no wins by submission. He's never been finished. He's not the most technical striker, but he has power. He throws all kinds of crazy shit, backhands and weird stuff. He's made a lot of improvements since being in the UFC. His takedown defense hasn't really looked very good in the past. I could definitely see Ashmouz out wrestling him and getting a decision win here. And he got outclassed by a more technical striker in his last fight, and there's kind of two sides of the coin with Trevor Peak. And on one hand, his like wild brawling, throw caution to the wind style is kind of what got him here. But at this high of a level, sometimes guys can work around that style. But on the other hand, there's times where that style would serve him well, and he's been working so hard to get away from it that he doesn't do it. So, yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, man. It's tricky with him. He's very strong and powerful, does well blitzing forward with combinations. He's going to make improvements, man. He's going to get better. He's going to be around for a while. I could see this fight going either way. He shows 55% striking accuracy with 45% striking defense. 54% takedown accuracy with 54% takedown defense, which is a key number. Averages close to 2 takedowns per fight, and he lands on average 4.58 strikes per minute while absorbing 4.17. He's taking on Yanel Ashmouz. He is 29 years old. He's 5'9", 68-inch reach, 7-1, 1-1 in the UFC, minus 105. He injured himself in his last fight, in the first round, so we didn't really get to see him fight to his full potential there. He was basically fighting with one arm, one side of his body. And, of course, he had that nasty knockout in his debut over Sam Patterson, who's on a good run right now. He's got 4 wins by knockout, 2 wins by submission, never been finished. And if you go back and watch his fight in the PFL that he had, he really showed off his wrestling in that fight. And I would expect him to use his wrestling in this fight, man. It'd be smart not to take the risk. He does have big power. Not the most technical striking. He tends to just look for the big shot, but like I said, he was only throwing with one arm in his last fight because of the injury. So he can definitely take a punch and a kick to the face. I think this is a fight that I'm going to go probably with whoever the dog ends up being on this. So for now, I'm going to go with ashmouz to win by decision using his wrestling. But if it switches over and there's plus money on Peak, maybe I'll go with him. We'll see what happens, man. I mean, I post my updated picks, the day before, the day of the fight. So, but right now I'm going to go with ashmouz to win. Next up, we got Matt Schnell taking on Alessandro Costa. And Matt Schnell is 34 years old. He's 5'8" with a 70-inch reach. He is 16-8 and 6-6 in the UFC, and he's a plus 370 underdog. He's been knocked out 5 times in the UFC, submitted several times as well. He's a good fighter. I just think maybe the chin isn't what it used to be. He has the skills, man. We've seen him get finished so many times, man. He has 2 wins by knockout, 9 wins by submission. He's dangerous off his back, really good jiu-jitsu. Very tall for the weight class. He will have a 3-inch reach advantage, but Costa's never been submitted. Matt isn't known for knocking a lot of guys out. And I just not seeing a lot of advantages in this spot for Schnell. I wonder how he's still in the top 15, I'm sorry to say, just because, he's been finished so many times. He's only won one of his last 5 fights since 2021, just kind of makes you curious. He shows 39% striking accuracy with 55% striking defense, 44% takedown accuracy with 50% takedown defense. Not a good look there. Averages 1 submission per fight, and he lands on average 4.23 strikes per minute while absorbing 4.56. I could see Costa having a little bit of trouble getting on the inside of that length, from Schnell and the height. But I think all it takes is one, so. Costa's 28 years old. He's 5'4" with a 67-inch reach. He is 14-4 and 2-2 in the UFC, minus 510 favorite. People have already loaded up on him. Kind of takes a lot of the sting off of the money line, and he looked better than ever last time out. He's a good grappler, great submission defense, big power puncher. He's young. He's getting better, and he just needs to land one shot here, guys. I think, and he can put Schnell out. He had his moments against Steve Erceg, in that fight as well. He got takedowns in that fight. I think he hurt Erceg in that fight at one point. Yeah, man, he's a good fighter. Great calf kicks, keeps his guard real high, covers up well, unloads with combinations, good elbows on the break. As long as he can get along that reach or at least just shoot for the takedowns to get his hands on Schnell, I think he can control this fight. He does tend to throw kind of hooks and looping shots rather than straight shots. So I do think Costa will probably look for takedowns early and wear on Schnell. Then look for a knockout. He shows 48% striking accuracy with 58% striking defense, 13% takedown accuracy. Not sure if that's updated, but I know he took down Steve Erceg, if that means anything. 91% takedown defense, averages almost 1 knockdown per fight. Lands on average 4.14 strikes per minute while absorbing 3.50. I think he wins by finish in round 2. I don't know which way to go would be the best way. Knockout or submission. I'm just gonna go with knockout. Round 2. Next up, we got Kyle Nelson taking on Steve Garcia. Kyle Nelson is 33 years old. He's 5'11" with a 71-inch reach. He is 16-5-1 and 4-4-1 in the UFC. He's a plus 140 underdog. And man, if anybody's been out there consistently betting on Kyle Nelson, I think, probably all his fights, his last 4 fights, he's been an underdog. But he's won his last 3. The other one was a draw. He should have lost that one. But if you've been betting on him plus money, you've probably been making some money. But I thought he lost the Fernando Padilla fight. I thought that was a bad decision. But either way, man, he keeps proving me wrong. So. Did I already read off his stuff? I don't remember. I'll do it again. 33 years old, 5'11" with a 71-inch reach. He is 16-5-1 and 4-4-1 in the UFC, plus 140 underdog. This is another guy. A few years ago, I thought he was done in the UFC, man, and he's really turned his career around. 6 wins by knockout, 4 wins by submission. He's made a lot of improvements, especially with his striking defense, man. He's always had the big power, but he's just gotten a lot better at kind of covering up and then landing the counters. He just knocked out Bill Algeo, who, I mean, I guess we know now Bill Algeo isn't very good. He lost his last fight, too. Um, I mean, Kyle's got the power to win this fight. His best bet would be to try and clinch and slow Garcia down and get a late finish. I don't honestly think he's better than Garcia in a lot of areas, but the power is definitely competitive. He doesn't have the highest output, but like I said, he's found ways to win, man, and he is dangerous. So you definitely can't go out there with your hands down like Algeo did against, Kyle Nelson. Doesn't have the best wrestling, and Garcia has great takedown defense, so I'm not sure if that's a route to victory for him here. He shows 46% striking accuracy, 52% striking defense, 21% takedown accuracy with 73% takedown defense. Averages 1 takedown per fight, and he lands on average 3.65 strikes per minute while absorbing 4.69. He's taking on Steve Garcia. He is 32 years old, 6 foot tall with a 73-inch reach, 16-5 and 5-2 in the UFC, minus 165 favorite. He's on a hell of a run right now, 4 knockouts in a row against some tough guys. He has a win over Chepe Mariscal before the UFC, a win over Ronnie Lawrence as well before the UFC. He's a huge featherweight, great boxing, big power. I think he's more well-rounded than he has showed in a lot of his fights. Tends to go out there just looking for a knockout. He will have a 2-inch reach advantage, 13 wins by knockout, no wins by submission. And I won't lie, man, I didn't think much of him either when he first came to the UFC, but I've become a big fan of his, man. And he's such a big guy for the weight class, man. He's huge. And I was a little worried for him going into his last fight, but he ended up making it look easy. He was struggling a little bit, with the technical side of things at first, and then he decided fuck it and just went for it, and ended up finally landing those shots and putting the guy out. So he does his best work when he makes it kind of ugly at times. Fast hands, good front kicks. He showed some good wrestling in some of his earlier fights. He shows 56% striking accuracy with 46% striking defense, 40% takedown accuracy with 89% takedown defense. Averages 2.85 knockdowns per fight, 1.27 takedowns per fight, lands 5 strikes per minute while absorbing 2.51, and he has an average fight time of 5 minutes and 16 seconds. Now, there's a part of me that really wants to go against, my brain here because Kyle Nelson keeps proving me wrong. There's part of me that wants to go with him, but I'm going with Garcia. I think Garcia's going to win this fight by knockout round 2, but I don't know, man. Kyle Nelson keeps proving me wrong, guys, so kind of scary there. I don't think I'm going to get heavily invested in it as far as, big money, but parlays, Next up, we got Jessica Andrade taking on Natalia Silva. And Jessica Andrade is 32 years old, 5'1" with a 62-inch reach, 26-12 and 17-10 in the UFC, plus 205 underdog, 10 wins by knockout, 8 wins by submission. She proved me wrong last time out, man, but we did see her finish 3 times in a row and bounce back. She's been knocked out 5 times, submitted 4 times. She's very powerful. She's still got it. She's a good former champion. She may have a power advantage on the feet here, but I think if she can't get this fight to the ground, she's probably going to get outworked on the feet here. She's not known for her wrestling. She's way shorter. She's never fought anybody with the footwork and movement and kicks like Natalia Silva. So I do think she's going to struggle with that, like most people have. But if she lands a big punch, man, she's live for a knockout for sure. She's good at hurting people, in the rounds and pulling out the decision as well. So you just never know. She shows 51% striking accuracy with 55% striking defense, 56% takedown accuracy with 72% takedown defense, averages 2.37 takedowns per fight, half a knockdown per fight, and she lands on average 6.62 strikes per minute while absorbing 5.37. She doesn't have the most technical striking. She tends to just kind of throw the big shots, wing the big hooks and wade forward hoping for the best. So I think that does kind of play right into the way Natalia Silva does fight. And Natalia Silva is 27 years old. She's 5'4" with a 65-inch reach. She has 17-5-1 and 5-0 in the UFC. She's a minus 245 favorite. 5 wins by knockout, 7 wins by submission. And I can't say enough good things about her striking, especially her kicks, man. You can really tell she has the Taekwondo background. Very technical, great head movement and footwork. Puts out a ton of volume. She's on an 11 fight win streak right now. She's going to be 3 inches taller and have a 3 inch reach advantage. She has awesome kicks, especially with her lead leg. Fights well from both stances. She's one of the women's fighters that I've consistently won money on, along with Silva. I know a lot of the times I tell y'all, these women's fights are biting me in the ass when I put money on them, but her and Silva were the ones that have really paid off. She has good takedown defense, good side-to-side movement, great counter striking. She shows 45% striking accuracy with 65% striking defense. 29% takedown accuracy with 91% takedown defense. And she lands on average 4.53 strikes per minute while absorbing 2.10. I'm going to take her to win by knockout, man. I think she's going to fucking land one of those lead kicks to the face and put Andrade down. Could be wrong. She might win by decision. You could take her by decision, but I think she's going to land a big kick and make a statement here and push on to the top of the division. Next up, we got the main event. Gilbert Burns taking on Sean Brady. Now, I feel a little torn on this fight, man, and the main reason I really feel torn on this fight is that, like, for me, there's a lot of things that all point to picking Gilbert Burns here. But me picking these guys that have been around a while, against these younger guys, so I mean, it's getting to a point where a lot of these, older guys are starting, to go, like you see Jared Cannonier, his last two fights. Israel Adesanya, these guys are starting to go away, man, and you never know what's the right point, to start, fading them, start going against them, I don't know, man. Like I said, a lot of things here point to Gilbert Burns for me, guys. Gilbert Burns is 38 years old. He's 5'10" with a 71-inch reach. He is 22-7 and 15-7 in the UFC. He's a plus 137 underdog. 6 wins by knockout, 9 wins by submission. He's never been submitted. This is a tricky fight, man, and I think Burns has the better striking. He's a good grappler himself, world champion jiu-jitsu guy. This fight will probably play out on the feet because of that. And Gilbert has the 5-round experience. We haven't seen Brady go 5 rounds. So that, like I said, a lot of things pointing to Burns for me here. Brady isn't, no Jack Della Maddalena on the feet at all, not even close. So the only thing that scares me for Burns here, honestly, is the age and the miles on the clock. But, Brady hasn't knocked anybody out in the UFC, so I don't really know that that's a threat here. Burns has that big left hand. He hurt Usman with that. He looked in really good shape in his last fight, man. He was kind of outclassed on the feet, but he had his moments in his last fight as well, man. And I thought he looked like he was in some of the best shape we've ever seen him in. He's still a great fighter. He shows 49% striking accuracy with 54% striking defense, 39% takedown accuracy with 50% takedown defense. And who took him down last, though? Like, it says 50% takedown defense. I mean, I can't remember the last time he was taken down. Muhammad couldn't take him down. I don't think. I thought that whole fight played out on the feet, didn't it? I think maybe the last person that took him down was Chimaev, and Chimaev couldn't keep him down. So I don't know that Brady's going to be able to do better than that. Burns averages 2.24 takedowns per fight. He lands on average 3.29 strikes per minute while absorbing 3.42. He's taking on Sean Brady. He's 31 years old. He's 5'10" with a 72.5-inch reach. He's 16-1 and 6-1 in the UFC. Minus 163 favorite. 3 wins by knockout. 5 wins by submission. He's a big, strong guy, strong grappler. That's what he's known for. We saw that Kevin Gastelum has terrible takedown defense in Brady's last fight. And, one thing I go back to here is that, the Bilal Muhammad fight, Burns injured himself in that fight and still coasted to a decision, relatively easily, whereas Brady got finished by Bilal Muhammad. So, that's one thing that another thing that leans me towards Gilbert Burns in this fight. Burns, I think Burns probably has a power advantage on the feet, better striking probably. Brady has a 1.5-inch reach advantage. If Brady can't get Burns down and keep him down, what's he going to do, man? Brady's a very big, muscular guy. It's possible he could get tired after, the third round, or towards the third round. I could see this fight going either way. I'm sure a lot of people are going with Brady, and I don't blame him at all. I completely see why. He's a younger guy. Um, but like I said, I don't know that if he can't get Burns down, I think it's Burns all day. Brady shows 53% striking accuracy with 61% striking defense, 58% takedown accuracy with 88% takedown defense. He averages 3.29 takedowns per fight, 1.21 submissions per fight, and he lands on average 3.77 strikes per minute while absorbing 3.55. Man, I'm not super confident in it, but I'm going to go with Burns to win this fight. Um, man, I think maybe Brady has success early, but I think Burns can steal the last 3 rounds or land a big shot late and get a knockout or overwhelm him. But no disrespect to Sean Brady, I think he's a great fighter. I just don't know, man. I do think that if this was a few years ago, it would be a no-brainer that Burns would win this fight. So I think maybe there's a little bit of recency bias, with what's been going on with Burns in his last few fights. I don't know, but I'm going to go with him. Not super confident. Won't get heavily invested. But I'll take him to win by decision with the 5-round experience. Grab some water. I'm out of breath, and my mouth is all dry. No, I hadn't been smoking today. So as far as bets go, man, for this card, where's the right one? So I got a 1-unit play on Andrade Lima at -110. I guess the autocorrect on that changed it, but it's a Costa and Silva parlay. It's -135. It's half-unit play. And then I got a Santos and Petroski 2-fight parlay at +104. That's a half-unit play. I don't really like putting Petroski on stuff, but I do think that this is a very winnable fight for him. He's got way better wins than Dylan Budka, on his record, so that's why I went with it. Plus, I just wanted to get a parlay with a little plus money, so hopefully Santos shows up and does a good job this time. And also, I wanted to give you guys out some early bets for the UFC Noche card. Because Bovada's already got the card up, got the lines up, so we'll look and see in a minute what the lines are now. But I got Edgar Chairez over Kevin Borjas at -135. That's a 1-unit play. I picked Norma Dumont over Irene Aldana because I think she's going to be able to out wrestle her and take her down. And she's way bigger, so that's -115 for Dumont. It's a half-unit play. 2-fight parlay of Rosas Jr. and Zellhuber. That's -110. That's a 1-unit play. I can't stand Rojas Jr., but they keep giving him easy fights, so why not take advantage of it? And then I've got a half-unit play on Diego Lopez at -155 over Brian Ortega. So I had a bet on him against Brian Ortega the first time. I didn't see any reason not to do it again. Yeah, man. So that's the early bets for UFC Noche. If there's anything, I still got to do the videos. If anything changes, if I add more, you'll see them. And let's go look at pull this up. Pull up Bovada real quick and look at some of these lines. So Lima and Santos still a -110. Like I said, some money's come in on Oven St. Preux. Not a lot's changed on that card, but let's go down here and look at this. So Edgar Chairez is still at a decent price, guys. He's on a good run right now. -140 is a great price for him over Kevin Borjas, who's lost his 2 fights in the UFC and just got knocked out. Jasmine Uruguay, that's a good pick, but high price right there. Manuel Torres versus Ignacio Bahamondes. This is a fight that I'm going back and forth on myself on, man. But it's a good price either direction, man. Whatever you guys think. I won't give up my pick for it yet. Irene Aldana, Norma Dumont, still a pretty good price if you want to either way on that one as well. I do think Dumont just beat, who were the last 2 people? She beat 2 really tough, big women in her last 2 fights. So I think she'll be able to ragdoll Aldana and get her down to the ground and win that way. Rosas Jr. -575, crazy value there. Brian Ortega. Some money's come in on Diego Lopez. He's -172 right now, so you might want to get on that one before it gets out of hand. I got to really take a hard look at this Luis Rodriguez-Odie Osborne fight. I know it seems I know it seems like a no-brainer just to jump on Luis Rodriguez, but I don't remember if I was very impressed with what he did in his first fight in the UFC. And Ode Osborne's a big guy, so I had to take a harder look at that, and I'll go over it on my video. Zell Huber is minus 175 over Esteban Ribovics. I like both these guys. I just think that Zell Huber is going to be able to use that reach and stuff, man. And y'all know I got to play on him, so I can give out the pick. But and then Valentina Shevchenko, Grasso, you got a good line either way there. We'll see where the plus money ends up. And O'Malley versus Merab, man, that's a close line on there either way you go as well. So there's some good value on this card, man, and it hasn't been overloaded yet completely. So you might want to hop on Bovada and check out those lines. Use my link, sign up, hook me up, you know. I don't think there's anything else I need to go over on this card, guys. Yeah. And look at these. Got the point spreads up right here. Oh, this is old, man. I need to refresh this. Let's see what's coming up with the Contender Series fights for tonight. Where are they at? Let's check these out. Jack Duffy plus 275. Oh, they switched his opponent out. I mean, it's. I wonder whether I should even bother doing these, you know, because like I usually do the regular fight cards. I do them 2 weeks ahead of time, you know. So I'm trying to get early on the betting lines. I can't do I don't have time to do the Contender Series that ahead of time, but I do these like a week ahead of time, and like the fights constantly get changed and everything. So I mean, I guess we could take a look at that real quick if you want. It's nice to see that people are agreeing with me on Liam Anderson there, minus 250 now. Everyone on Tapology was going Pulaev. Bogdangrad, that's close line. Good value either way there. I was going with him. I went with Marco Tulio. I went with him. Plus 200 on Adam Bramhald. I'm going to be going with him. Go back and take a look at this. See who Jack Duffy's fighting right now or tonight. He was supposed to fight somebody else, right? Or am I wrong? Am I thinking of something? Yeah, he was supposed to fight Jose Ocha. Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah. I'd be lying if I told y'all without looking into this fight I knew who to go with. I know everyone's going with Nick here. I don't know enough about him to really give you a confident pick on that right now. Y'all know I'm always chasing dogs on here. It hasn't been working out for me though. Like last year, all kinds of dogs are winning on the Contender Series, and this year, not so much. Usually have a good one, you know, once a card, but there's been more favorites winning this year. Maybe people are starting to look a little bit more into these cards than they used to. But either way, guys, man, that's it for me, man. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for caring what I have to say. Sorry I'm out of it, man. I got off work at like 6 o'clock this morning. Barely slept. Only got like 4 hours of sleep. But I want to get the video out for you guys, man. So thank you so much, man. Hope you guys win some money. I'll talk to you next week, man.